Good to have you with us on this edition of the Urban Debate. One more time, tonight we start with the focus on the migrants. Now viewers, you might remember, yesterday at this very same time here on the Urban Debate, we spoke about the big controversy regarding migrants being charged rail fare for them to go from various parts of the country back to their home states. Now they're largely wanting to go home in thousands and lakhs because there is no work in the cities, because all economic activity has shut down, because they are unable to earn a livelihood, and in times of a pandemic they want to go home and be with their family members. At such a time, a big controversy then unfolded about should we be charging them or who should be bearing this cost. Now, after that controversy broke out, today we got a clarification coming in from the central government. In fact, railway sources suggested to us that in fact this is not the true fact, that the railways itself will be subsidizing the rail fare and bearing 85% of the cost, and that they want the state governments, and the state governments are expected to bear the rest of the 15%, which is essentially the travel cost which is involved. So as far as the centre is concerned, today the centre says that the migrants are not supposed to pay. It's the central government and the state government that is now supposed to shell out the money. But before that, here is what happened. The Congress party accused the centre of charging jobless migrants. JMM said it is really sad that the centre is asking migrants to pay. Now you remember, a large percentage of people who are going back right now on these trains will be going to states like Jharkhand and Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, West Bengal and Odisha. Samajwadi Party said, why is centre not using the PM Cares Fund? If so much of donation has been collected, isn't it meant for uses like this? Isn't this where you're supposed to help out the poor? CPIM said, why is the centre not using PM Cares Fund? And the centre said, onus is on the states also to bear the cost as the railway subsidizes it. Now viewers, largely there are a whole lot of issues as far as this travel is concerned. Yes, we understand the scale and the size of this movement. We've perhaps not seen something as huge as this in last 50 years. Lakhs of people wanting to go from one place to the other in times of a pandemic. But what we are witnessing is chaos and confusion about the sale of these tickets or issuance of the tickets, whichever is the technical term you want to use. There are reports still coming in that the migrants are having to pay at the railway station. Then there is a problem of social distancing. Everybody wants to get the first train back home. Everybody wants to get the first bus back home. And social distancing is becoming very, very difficult to implement in such times. Then there is a problem of quarantine. When thousands of them begin arriving on a daily basis at their home state, are those states really prepared to handle this kind of a load? Are the quarantine centers ready with healthcare facilities, screening facilities, food and shelter and water? And of course, the whole process itself, online registration, get a form, go through a screening, get a medical test done, give this certificate and that certificate, it's just adding to the whole chaos. So tonight, let's just ask this question. Can these pain points be addressed by our governments? I don't want to get into a political fight. That's not what this is about. I want concrete solutions to the problems that we are highlighting over here. Let's say good evening to the panelists who are joining us right now. And I've got Dr. AJAY ALOK, leader of the JDU, Tom Vadakkan, spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. SHAMA Mohammed, national spokesperson for the Congress party. Let me actually start with Mr. Vadakkan. Mr. Vadakkan, can you just help us get more clarity? How is this ticket fare system going to work? Will these people be reimbursed? Does the state reimburse them? Does the centre reimburse them? Do they have to pay up front, or can they just sit in the train and go? And which state is really bearing the cost?
Tanvi, there is a broad canvas that you need to take into consideration. First, this whole business of migrant labor and the controversy started with this business of asking them to join a particular railway station. Food was being supplied. You're aware of that. It happened in Mumbai and it happened in other places too. Now, there was a master plan behind it. The whole idea was to politic, to create a situation. Subsequently, there was a conversation between the Prime Minister and the state. The conversation was on how to move them, and what are the exigencies involved. Now, the point here is we do not want to convert our villages into another Italy. This is about a pandemic. This is not about just returning. Their safety is a prime concern. Now, this was the view expressed both from the state and from the center. Now, in view of that, they said, okay, buses can be organized. Now, that was pushed away and said that we cannot afford that kind of buses. So, as a counter to that, the railways were ushered in. Now, the point here is the railways decided on the request of the state to do the needful. So this is not about running the railways. It is exclusively at the request of the state that this initiative was done. And it was agreed upon in that meeting that 85% of the cost will be borne by the center, by the railways, and the 15% was to be borne by the state. Nothing more, nothing less. Then this politics started that, well, you need to, this money collection. Now, money collection reports of these tickets have come from 2 or 3 places. Now, this is in public domain. Bhiwandi is for one. I was shown the slip. This was on national television. 740 or 750 was collected from a migrant person. And subsequently, we have heard that in somewhere in Rajasthan. And the tickets or coupons were displayed. Whereas you must remember, no tickets, I repeat, no tickets have been sold at the railway station. Now, this is tickets or whatever coupon was distributed by the nodal officer of the state concerned. Now, what are the obligations? They had to fill up a form that they are stranded, and this was not a picnic for anybody to go. So they had to fill up the form, they had to identify their location and name the problem and go through a medical exercise. So this was the objective, and the name was put in, and the travel procedure was adopted. Now, this was actually what was happening. Now, what the state government did or what the state government did not do is not in the focus of the center. Now that this controversy has come up, and the Honorable Congress President in her speech says that, well, it is very irregular. The point was, if it had happened, it was irregular. But the point is, it happened in their own states. So I'm not here picking up problems for each state or blaming any state or raising politics into it. The point is, when you have clearly said 85% to be paid by the railways and 15% by the state, and now after the address by the Congress President, you notice that Chhattisgarh has said we'll take up the cost, complete cost, and we have other states from like Rajasthan saying but my submission to you, Tanvi, is why was this not done before the Congress President's address? When she wanted to arrest a journalist, there were 200 FIRs filed, and they spoke to all representatives, and action was initiated. Why now was no communication between the states and the Congress President? These are issues that need to be addressed.
So, I will ask the Congress to respond on that, but before that, Mr. Tom Vadakkan, I am reading from a notice that was issued by the Ministry of Railways on 2nd of May, which is 2 days ago. It was issued, and it actually, it's a set of rules and guidelines of how this entire process is going to happen for the Shramik special trains. Now, these are the special trains that are being run for the migrants and stranded migrants and students to go from one place to the other. Point number 11 says sale of tickets in bold, and this goes on to then say, as these Shramik special trains are being run by railways only for those persons who have been cleared by originating state in consultation with the receiving state and not for the general public, following methodology has to be adopted for sale of tickets. It then goes on to say railways will print the tickets as per number of passengers indicated by originating state, and railways will hand over these tickets to the local state government authority, And then this circular says, this order from the Railways Ministry says, local state government will hand over the tickets to the passengers and collect the ticket fare and hand over the total amount to railways. Now, if the railways is paying 85% of it and the state is paying 15% of it, what is this collection? Isn't this order misleading then?
Tanvi, I have done my homework on that. I spoke to the railway spokesman. I spoke to the authorities in the railway. This particular press release that is being read out by one or two channels, some of the Congress spokesmen did read out, but is clearly an indication that something is wrong with that. I won't call it fake news at this juncture. It's being examined. But the point here is the railways have categorically denied it and said that there is no such thing. I've also spoken to reporters who are covering the railways, and they said they have not, I repeat, not received any such press release. Be what it may, when you're reading it out, I think this is a matter of concern, and the government of India will be focused on investigating what this is, because the government of India is very clear, the railway ministry is very clear that no such instruction went out. Be what it may, an investigation would be in progress on this issue.
Okay, Shama Mohammed, then please respond to what Vadakkan is saying, that this was pre-decided between the center and the states, that this will be the cost-bearing structure. So why are we now resorting to this kind of politics? Did nobody tell Sonia Gandhi?
You must give me some time, and please do not interrupt when I speak. First and foremost, these migrant laborers have been there for more than a month. And we started talking about it long time back, the Congress party, that it is time to send them back home. They want to go back home. And you must have seen a lot of videos, a lot of live videos where they've been walking. I saw just 2 days ago a mother with her child walking from Gujarat to Madhya Pradesh. So we have seen lots of those. Many of them have even died walking more than 100 kilometers. Some have walked 400 kilometers. We have been saying from day one that the railways, Indian railways, can be used. Former railway minister of TMC has also mentioned that the railways could have been used before itself to repatriate these people back to their homes. Now, they did not listen to the government of the day. They did not care. They were bringing back people from abroad. They were devotees sent back from certain parts back to Gujarat. You know, all those things, they were the special buses for them. Then, of course, the students from Kota were sent back. But the migrant laborers, because they are the poorest of poor, and the Bharatiya Janata Party does not care about them. We, the Congress party, empathize with the poor. We are sensitive to the poor, and that's why we're saying about it completely. Then, when the Congress president today announced that all the PCC, Pradesh Congress Committee, will bear the money which this particular government has asked these laborers, migrant laborers, to pay, it's just, you know, that report which you read, that guide, the report which you read from the Indian Railways clearly states that they have to collect it and give it to the Indian Railways. And also, they have to pay the sleeper plus an extra 50 rupees. So this guideline was released on May 2nd. When the Congress president announced today, that's when they changed the whole thing. And now Mr. Tom Vadakkan is saying that nothing has been released. It's a lie. How can they? It's written, the Ministry of Railways, the government of India stamp is on it. So they say such things are lies. The pressure put in by the Congress president today changed their mind, and they said that 85% is borne by them. And there is also from the Ahmedabad Mirror, report from the Ahmedabad Mirror, which clearly states that the migrant laborers say, "Humne liya hai, humne payment kiya hai." They have paid for it. So this is clearly the government going back on what they decided to take money from them. But because of the pressure from the Congress party, because they are charging the poorest to poor, and they know, they understand right now what they did was wrong, they're changing the whole thing and saying that this is a lie. I mean, they have to stop lying and start to empathize with the poor. I want to ask Tom Vadakkan, why did the government not do these trains 2 to 3 weeks back? Why today? Why didn't you empathize? Many of them were going hungry. Their daily wages, they live on what they get every day. They couldn't even pay their rents. They were put out. Many in Delhi are living under the flyovers because they were chucked out from their rentals. They don't know that they don't need to pay. They are poorest of poor. They don't read newspapers. Some of them cannot read, most of them. They don't watch news. So what do you expect? Why didn't you empathize with them? This government is ready to pay 20,000 crores for the Central Vista project. The railways has given PM Care 150 crores. They are ready to pay 100 crores for 3 hours for Mr. Trump, but not for the poorest of poor of their own people. This is what the Bharatiya Janata Party is all about. They refuse to pay. And when the Congress party started, we always, let's not forget, Manrega started by us. 120 million people were lifted out of poverty from 2004 to 2014. The Food Security Act for the poorest of poor, we got it. Right to education, everything for the poor is done by the Congress party.
Okay,
what
but that's
has
not
the government done for the poor? So what I'm trying to say is now it's a lie.
Shama Mohammed, I always say that the BJP's right. No, I get the point that you're making. I always say when the BJP gives the excuse of, oh, Congress did this wrong and that wrong in their era, that we don't want to talk about it. That is over, 6 years ago. Similarly, I will tell you now, let's talk about what's happening right now and focus on that. Now, my question to you is the Congress party now accepting the solution that's been given? So will the Congress governed states now pay the 15% for the migrant workers?
We were ready to pay the whole amount. What are you talking about? All our PCs were ready to pay the whole amount. So what is 15%? We were ready to pay the whole amount because this government did not want to pay for migrant laborers. They left them in the lurch for the last 1 month. And when we put the pressure on them and we said we are ready to pay, that's when they jumped in and said, you know what, there is a lie. We did not publish such a guideline, but it is there. We all have it. I have it here. May 2nd, it was published, by the Railway Ministry. And they went back on it because they know that here is something which the Congress government is doing is right. They've understood the Congress government is done the right thing right now.
Yes.
And they don't want to give us the credit for it. So they just said that, everything is lying. Even the Ahmedabad Mirror is lying. Is Mr. Vadakkan saying that the Ahmedabad Mirror report? So every journalist, every paper, everybody is lying except the Bharatiya Janata Party. So they change things. They change
Okay. Yes, Mr. Tom Vadakkan wants to respond to that. Shama Mohammed, let's listen in. Before I go to AJAY Alok, because I also want to know who is going to pay for it, the receiving state or the one that's sending them. But before that, Mr. Tom Vadakkan wants to respond. Go ahead, please.
Strong case for the Congress president. But let me tell you one thing. She's wrong on facts. A, she says that the cost that you bought students out from Wuhan and that was free. Why can't you bring the migrants? Now, when she talks about empathy, the students suffering in Wuhan, you had to collect money from them. That's probably the Congress habit. We bought them because it was a national duty to remove students out of a trouble spot. If that troubles you, you created that creation of the migrants. You literally simulated the whole problem, and then you are like setting the house on fire and calling the fire brigade. And today on national media, you talk about Congress president. That is a collection technique. They are collecting money under COVID-19. This is a technique adopted by the Congress from time immemorial. They do this, make an occasion and start a collection spree. The money is going into their pockets, not to the migrants. I dare say this. And I also charge the Congress party. I know this party. And they do this regularly. I want to ensure.
I want to respond
to that. No, 1 minute. I want to go to a very important point and all three of you need to respond. All three of you need to respond. No, please, this is not a political fight, which is why I interrupted Mr. Tom Vadakkan also.
I never said that money has to be collected from the students. I never said that. So don't put words into my mouth. I just said that if you can bring them back, you should get the migrant workers back.
You know what you said? You said the money of migrants coming from abroad are being paid by the government. But that's not a factual issue.
So you have also become senile, Mr. Vadakkan.
Factual issue. Okay, don't worry about my senility. You worry about yourself.
Okay, no, please, let's not do this name calling. I'm sorry, this is not required at all. I am going to ask both of you right now to take a deep breath and calm down. This is absolutely not required. Exactly the reason why I have not been having political debates on this channel since the pandemic started. It is completely not required. Please, let's be sensitive of the situation and the crisis we are facing right now instead of calling each other names. Let's not do that. Now, Dr. Ajay Alok, the big problem will be for the states who are going to be receiving lakhs of these people back in the coming days. Who is going to pay this fare? The part that the state governments have to do, is that going to be the home state or the one that they're traveling from?
No, definitely it's going to be from the home state. And we have already, the Chief Minister has announced today that not only we will be paying for their traveling cost, plus what we'll be doing that all the migrants who are coming to Bihar, we will be giving them 500 rupees each too.
And we'll be keeping them in the quarantine center. Those who are fit enough, they can go for home quarantine, and those with the symptoms or even mildly symptoms, we'll be keeping them in quarantine. Arranging the food and all, everything, even minute details like toilets, drinking water, everything has been planned. And we plan to take them in quarantine center in nearest to their home. So everything has been planned. And we have already started receiving people from different trains. Till now, around 6 trains from different parts of the country have arrived in Bihar. And we are doing our job nicely. We know how to do it. Because this is not the migrant flush that we are seeing for the first time. Every time during festival in Bihar, this migrant flush happens. Of course, this time it has to be organized by the state government and the central government respectively. But none of the money is being taken from the migrant. The state is paying the 15% and 85% is being borne by the center. So where's the confusion?
The confusion is in the fact that there are still reports coming from many parts, including the Ahmedabad Mirror Corp report that Shama Mohammed was just quoting, that migrants are having to pay this money on ground, in reality, at the station for them to get this ticket. So clearly the system is not working in all of this confusion and politics that's taking place. Is your government going to reimburse them, or is your government paying upfront to the center so that the migrants can simply board the train and come home?
See, we have appointed nodal officer for every state. Now the state which is going to run the train from, that nodal officer is registering, that nodal officer is registering people's name. We are not charging them any money. Once their name is registered and once the total train capacity is full, the whole money is being paid to the railway directly by the state government. There is no question of any migrant paying them. That's what we are doing. When they'll arrive in Bihar, we'll keep them and we'll give each one of them 500 rupees for their extra expense. Now the point is how the politics comes in. Now, with the things being managed so nicely, there are people who are out to do politics even in this COVID time. They are, they cannot resist it. So this proposal came from Honorable Congress President today in the morning that every Pradesh Congress committee should pay for the migrants. Well, good enough. Congress has a lot of money. They should rather help the state government and the central government also for running the quarantine center, which requires huge amount of ration and all other things. So I guess any kind of help is a welcome move. Now they are saying that it's because of the Congress pressure, the government has backed out and government has ready to pay. Otherwise, government was not paying. Fine, I take that point also. Good enough, Congress. As a responsible opposition, you have pressurized the government to take this step. Accepted. Now let us do one thing, show some grace. Now when you have said that you are going to pay for the migrants to all your Pradesh Congress committee, please donate that money to the respective state government and central government if you really want to help. And first donate and then say, because in Bihar we have seen, before the train, the Congress party even said that we are ready to send 5,000 buses. The RJD said we are ready to send 2,000 buses. Till now, we haven't seen any bus or any reimbursement. Now this train comes. So this is nothing. This is just cheap. This is just cheap politics. What Congress is doing. If they have grace, if they want to save their face now, ask them to donate that kind of amount of money.
Yeah, but Dr. Ajay Alok, the circular that I read out from, and because Mr. Tom Vadakkan said we don't know where that came from, we are going to investigate. He said he almost stopped at calling it fake news. He said he can't say that. We need to look into what it is. I know this went around and certain media channels quoted it. This circular is on the railway's website even as I speak. I have opened it in front of me right now, gone to the Ministry of Railways. It's circular number DTP 2020-0517 and it's right there, date of issue 2nd of May. Now, as your government got this, was there confusion within Bihar, within the government, within the party as well, of what's going on?
There was no confusion in Bihar and there was no confusion in the central government also, as I believe, because we have been working in tandem with the center. Now, if you're talking of a circular, there is another circular which is released at around 5:30 by the Ministry of Home Affairs. If we could go through that circular also, which clearly with us, with all the respective state governments, in which clear-cut directive is issued that no ticket will be sold at the junction of any of the junctions, and the state government is required to pay 15%, and they have given 3 options to the state government. Number first option, that we should charge it from the migrant, which is a cruel option actually. The second option was that the state government should take it from some NGO or some self-funding institute, which is not the option with Bihar. And the third option, that the state government should pay it from their own revenue, which we did. Now, if you read further investigate it, you will come to know that only 3 state governments have not utilized their own funds, and those 3 governments are Maharashtra, Rajasthan, and Kerala. Now you should ask them question that don't they have revenue for their own migrant workers, and today they are lecturing? So this is what I call hypocrisy. Now, how can you expect a party to give something?
Okay, let me ask Shama Mohammed to respond to that.
I take 30 seconds, 10 seconds.
Yes.
I take 10 seconds more than she can respond. Now, what we have done in Bihar, that we have...
Okay, 10 seconds, yes.
Yes, we have deducted 50 lakhs rupees from every MLA and MLC for this COVID fund. Now, today, in a leading newspaper of Bihar, one of the Congress MLA demanded that mere 50 lakh rupees lauta diye jaye. He wants his MLA fund to be refunded back. This is the Congress party. This is the original face of Congress party, that they cannot let go their MLA fund also, which has been taken by the government to all the MLA and MLC for fighting this COVID, but they want that 50 lakh rupees back. And now you expect them to pay for the migrant labour. They will never do it. They are only doing cheap politics. If they want to pay it now since the state government and central government is doing it, please donate that money. Then only you can save your face. Otherwise, you stand exposed.
Okay, Shama Mohammed, go ahead, please respond to that.
Yeah, so Mr. AJAY Alok has gone on splurged out a lot of lies. First and foremost, we are not a rich party. The rich party is Bharatiya Janata Party, but we have a big heart, and that's the difference. We empathize with the poor. Unlike Mr. AJAY Alok, I did not interrupt you. Show some decency, all right? I did not interrupt you once. You are a senior leader, so please keep quiet. We have a heart, and that's why we wanted to do this. Now, the thing is, why should we donate to the state? We wanted to help the migrant laborers. Your government, your chief minister. Again, this man keeps interrupting. Tanvi, should I continue or should I just stop talking? If you ask the gentleman to please keep quiet for some time, since he's a senior leader of the party. Yeah, but he keeps interrupting. So, I mean, I lose my thing when he keeps interrupting.
Please, Ajay, let her finish, please. Yes, continue.
So we've got a big heart, and that's why we wanted to help this. Your chief minister did not even want these migrant laborers to come back. Do you know that? He didn't want them. He didn't want to take care of them. He didn't want to give them food. He didn't want to quarantine because it was a big headache for him. And you talk about pointing fingers at us. We are taking care of them very well in Maharashtra and all the other states, Rajasthan and wherever they are there. So please don't give these lies of yours and show some paper cuttings. All right? We have the railways information.
Stop speaking like
again, this man keeps interrupting.
My name is Dr. AJAY Alok. This is not a man. What I'm showing you is the truth. The truth lays here.
This man keeps interrupting. He doesn't have any sort of manners. What can I do, Tanvi? He doesn't finish. So you, Tanvi, got the guideline of the railways.
Can we please? Yes, finish your point.
Tanvi, these people are interrupting. You had the guideline, I have the guideline. Now, Mr. AJAY Alok is showing some paper over there. Do you have that? You do not have it. You have what I have. That shows what the media has got. The guideline from the Railway Ministry 2 days ago. So the actual truth is they issued that guideline. They changed it today because of the pressure from the Congress president. We decided, even though we are not a rich party now, we will do it. Our Pradesh Congress committee will bear it because we feel for the poor. We've been asking them from day one, you know, what is this PM Care Fund? Where is that money going? I've heard that there is nearly 20,000 crores in that fund. What is that being used for? Why not for the poorest of poor? Nothing is being done. Now, about them, when they go back to the states, you know that the states have not received their GST for the last 4 months. All the shops, everything is being shut. There is no petrol stations are closed. The liquor shops are closed. So what has happened is states do not have revenue. Now, states also need revenue. What is the Prime Minister and the central government doing for all this? So let's not get into that. But my most important point today is because of the pressure put in by Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, because we empathize with the poor. These people then came in and changed it and said, there is no directive. You got it, Tanvi. You have the same.
Well, okay,
How does the media get it? That means they are lying. And you know that...
To Ajay Alok's credit, he also said that fine, if it was because of Congress pressure, so be it. Okay, he did say that if it was, you want to say it was because of Congress pressure, so be it. It's happened, the clarity is there. And I think that's the point we should take away, from this conversation. Fact of the matter is the clarity has come in. Now, I can only hope that the states and the center actually pay up the amount they're supposed to. And the reports we are getting from on ground, where migrants are still having to pay the money. And if they are not supposed to pay and somebody is fleecing them and taking the money from them and pocketing it, then that is also the responsibility of the state governments to ensure that it doesn't happen. I'm going to thank all of three of you for joining us right now on this conversation. The good part is, viewers, that the clarity has now come in that between the railways and the state governments, the cost will be borne. Stranded migrants who've been without a job now for over 6 weeks, have not managed to earn any money, are dependent on the state governments to give them food and shelter. Those people will not be asked to pay up for themselves and their family to travel back to their own homes. But the implementation is the crucial part. And the states need to ensure that on ground, it actually gets implemented smoothly. And the government needs to look into it. It's not enough that you resort to politics by pointing fingers at the Congress party and using your BJP IT cell for that. Please tell us, why is this circular there on the Ministry of Railways website? Why are you causing this confusion by issuing a circular after circular, changing the wording and creating this chaos of chaos? Do we not realize lakhs of people want to move from one location to the other, and all of that depends on the set of rules that the center actually issues? Please, let's get our policies clear and put it out there in black and white, leaving absolutely no room for this kind of a confusion. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. Welcome back, viewers. On to our second conversation. And visuals through the day that we receive from different parts of the country had one thing in common: long queues, a big crowd on the streets. And no, these people were not queuing up for their daily groceries or even essential medicines. They were all there starting 9 a.m. even before the shops opened to buy alcohol, to buy liquor. Because today, as part of Lockdown 3.0, as part of the relaxation that was announced, the liquor shops were supposed to open across the country, even in the red zones, depending on where they were situated. And so what we saw was actually a huge amount of crowd just coming out there to buy this alcohol after almost 6 weeks of lockdown. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk specifically about this one issue that's been raised by many people. And this is what few of those people say, that if you allow sale of liquor at this point of time, that's going to lead in rise in domestic abuse. Because you're in a state of lockdown, because you're unable to step out, because business is down and out, or for various reasons, providing alcohol to people could lead to a problem in the society. In fact, I want to read out to you few of those comments that have been made, including one from Mr. Javed Akhtar, who said liquor will increase domestic abuse. IMTIAZ JALEEL of the AIMIM party said we will shut down all the liquor shops. It should not be allowed. Even author Taslima Nasreem said, watch out for domestic violence. Now, between the problem of overcrowding, long queues, social distancing being violated, a possible law and order situation, yes, it did happen. In various parts of our country today, the cops had to resort to lathi charge. In Delhi's Karol Bagh, they had to intervene and shut down the shops. In Annikal and Karnataka, they had to lathi charge people who had queued up to buy alcohol. Keeping that kind of a law and order challenge in mind, keeping the possibility of domestic abuse and violence going up in mind, the big question I'm asking tonight is, should there be a reconsideration of this decision? That's all I want to ask. And of course, let's say good evening to our panelists. IMTIAZ JALEEL himself is joining us this evening, Member of Parliament of Lok Sabha, of the AIMIM party, Dr. Ranjana Kumari, Director for Center for Social Research, Amrit Kiran Singh is the Executive Chairman of International Spirits and Wine Association of India, and Gopal Agarwal, National Spokesperson for the BJP. Mr. Jaleel, let's begin with you. Why is it that you are so vehement on asking the liquor shops to shut down?
Well, any sensible person would have done the same thing. But, Aurangabad is in red zone. And being in red zone means every day we are getting almost 30 cases, 40 cases. The numbers are growing by the day. And at that point of time, when we know the people are facing so many problems, there's no food for the poor people, thousands of people stranded, they just want to go back home, no money with them. And at that point of time, the government comes out with a decision that they are going to allow the liquor shops to open, and that too in red zone areas. Now, imagine a situation in a city like Aurangabad when we are seeing you are not allowing people to come out even to buy their essential commodities. And on the other side, you are telling them, no, we will be following all the social distancing norms, but we will be allowing the people to buy liquor. So when this decision came, I had to take a stand. And I spoke to the government. In fact, 8 days before only, when I came to know that there was a powerful liquor lobby that was forcing the government to take this decision to start the liquor shops in Maharashtra, I knew the result would have been the same, the decision that came yesterday. So I took a decision.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt Mr. Jaleel for just a bit. I believe we've got a comment coming in from the Prime Minister who's speaking right now. Let's just see what this is about.
To retain this role, NAM must remain inclusive. Excellencies, India accounts for 1/6 of humanity. We are a developing country and a free society. During this crisis, we have shown how democracy, discipline, and decisiveness can come together to create a genuine people's movement. India's civilization sees the whole world is as one family. As we care for our own citizens, we are also extending help to other countries. To counter COVID-19, we have promoted coordination in our immediate neighborhood, and we are organizing online training to share India's medical expertise with many others. India is regarded as a pharmacy of the world, especially for affordable medicines. Despite our own needs, we have ensured medical supplies to over 123 partner countries, including 59 members of NAM. We are active in global efforts to develop remedies and vaccines. India has the world's oldest plant-based traditional medicine system. We have freely shared simple Ayurvedic home remedies to help people boost their natural immunity. Excellencies, even as the world fights COVID-19, some people are busy spreading other deadly viruses, such as terrorism, such as fake news and doctored videos to divide communities and countries. But today, I want to focus only on the positives, on what we as a movement can do together to help the world fight this health crisis. Excellencies, COVID-19 has shown us the limitations of the existing international system. In the post-COVID world, we need a new template of globalization based on fairness, equality, and humanity. We need international institutions that are more representative of today's world. We need to promote human welfare and not focus on economic growth alone. India.
Prime Minister Modi there earlier in the day, he spoke at the NAM summit, and that is the speech that was just coming in right now. Let's get us back to the conversation we were having. The merit of reopening the liquor shops in the country in times of a lockdown and economic crisis. Is that a smart thing to do? Let me actually go across to Mr. Gopal Agarwal. Mr. Gopal Agarwal, respond to what Mr. Jaleel was saying. Yes, Ranjana Kumari, I'm coming to you next. I'm coming to you just in a bit. Let me just get a quick reaction from the BJP on this policy announcement that's happened. Mr. Gopal Agarwal. Okay, I'll go to Gopal Agarwal in just a bit. Ranjana Kumari, your view, is this a smart move to do right now?
Yeah, I don't know. Are you guys there? Are you able to hear me? Is it?
Yes, I am able to hear you. Go ahead, please. We had briefly cut across to the Prime Minister who was speaking. I'm back now on this conversation. Go ahead, make your point, Ranjana Kumari.
On the program. Hello? Because there's so much of silence. Is from 8:30. It was supposed to be 8:30. It is 8:43 now. So.
I can hear you. You're live on the show. This is Tanvi here. Why do you think we should be opening and reopening rather the liquor shops right now, Ranjana Kumari? I don't think she is able to respond to us. Mr. IMTIAZ, Jaleel, let me come back to you to the point that you were making. Are you saying this is largely because of the fact that we are in a lockdown, and which is why the alcohol shops should not be reopened until the economic situation or the health situation improves?
Zone, orange zone, and red zone. Red zone means the situation is very alarming in that particular area. And in Aurangabad, for example, it comes under red zone. That means you're not allowing people to move around. You're not allowing any shops to open, even for essential commodities. And at the same time, you're allowing these liquor shops. Then why the special privilege for liquor shops only? And can you imagine the implications that it will have on the society? These poor people who till now we were thinking they had no money to even buy food grains. And when we are seeing huge long queues in Mumbai and in other cities where they allowed all these liquor shops to open, where has that social distancing gone? And what were we talking about then? Why are we not taking this seriously? And if at all, Maharashtra is not an underdeveloped state. It's a progressive state. It was the financial capital of the country. And if you're not able to sustain for even 2 months, if you're not able to carry the state for even 2 months, then something is seriously wrong with the governance here. And I know for sure, I have leveled this charge, and I'm saying it again, the liquor lobby is so powerful that they were after the government that come what may. Whether you open any shop or not, we are not concerned about it, but please allow the liquor shops to open. And today, when we are seeing all these visuals on the channels all across the state, we are seeing how these social distancing norms have been broken. And I'm thankful to the people of Aurangabad that we took a decision. It was a harsh decision to take. We told it in clear terms that we will not allow this to open in my constituency, and we did it. Thanks to the people of Aurangabad.
Okay, let me ask Amrit Kiran Singh, Executive Chairman of the International Spirits and Wine Association. Amrit Kiran Singh, do you believe that this problem that we saw today of overcrowding, long queues, law and order kind of a situation in many places is a big challenge, and perhaps we are not ready, or we need a better policy to reopen liquor shops?
Well, Tanvi, let me tell you that the government hasn't opened alcohol for the love of the consumer or out of pity for their parched throats. It opened after 42 days because the states were unanimous that they wanted this to be open. The states were left with no option. Today, there is a situation in these troubled times where the states need to provide a safety net for the poorest sections of society. Minimum subsistence wage, free food, free medical, and they don't have the resources. GST revenues from the center coming back to the states is sluggish. Petroleum prices haven't been reduced, and the corporations still have high prices, not in line with international prices, so there's no scope for the states to tax that. The only substantial revenue stream that they have is alcohol. And 25 to 30% of the state's revenue comes from alcohol. And it's absolutely needed for the poorest sections of society today. Some states like West Bengal, for example, have elections around the corner. And if you don't provide, I mean, apart from being humanitarian and providing a safety net for the poorest sections of society, if you don't do it well in time, 6 months later, there's an election and they will take it out on you. So anyway, the states were unanimous that alcohol should be opened up. It's not been done for the love of the consumer or anybody else. It's the absolute need of the hour. And I think the long queues that we saw were only for the reason that the shops had stayed closed for 42 days. I think the queues will become much shorter tomorrow, and progressively they'll become shorter and shorter. And I think the government, and we are in conversation, we've been in conversation with all the state governments and the center. We have a project, Safe Shield, which basically ensures that retailing of alcohol is done with social distancing. Social distancing is the need of the hour, and it just has to be done. At the same time, revenue needs to be provided to the states to provide the safety for the poorest sections of society. And therefore, Safety Net, this program that we have, brings the two together. It has three components. There's a huge problem in India because we have the second largest population in the world, and we have the lowest density amongst the non-Islamic countries of retail alcohol shops. So there's a terrific load on the stores. And therefore, we believe that if you really want to do social distancing, you need to take the load off the stores and bring down the load. And so we proposed in third phase of Safety Shield to actually allow home distribution from the retail stores to take the load off stores. I think social distancing is, like I said, the need of the hour. It just has to happen. And this revenue has to be created. It has to be done in a scientific way. And we've made certain proposals to all the state governments, and you will see that the things will settle down over the next few days.
Okay, so some proposals have been made which the state governments need to look at. Yes, they definitely have to come up with a better plan, because you can't have situation like we saw in many parts, in many cities today. On the other hand, it was also interesting to see the kind of joy that was there on some people's face when they finally, stood in line for so long and got what they wanted. But Ranjana Kumari, is there merit to the argument that in times like this, when there is an economic stress, when there's a health stress, and we are all in a state of lockdown, perhaps giving alcohol isn't the right thing to do?
Well, I think, government is desperate to earn some revenue, but they're not realizing that the domestic violence has escalated. NCW is already talking about it. The World Health Organization report already talked about direct link between the, alcohol and the domestic violence. We already have our own data. Family Health Survey said that there is a direct link between growing domestic violence and alcohol consumption. Now, I think that, in this time, everything is being violated by opening these shops. One, social distancing. I mean, how do you really ensure a drunken man, people were drinking and coming back to the line again? How do you ensure that there'll be any kind of social distancing? How do you ensure that women, why don't you then open all the five-star hotels which are empty anyway for women to walk in with their children and give them the protection there? Why are you not able to do that? Why are you not able to put a whole structure in place to protect women who have threat of life, living with aggressors in the house? You know that there is so much of domestic violence, and people who really could afford are buying it and were buying it and were consuming it. But it is for the poor. On the one side, you're distributing ration, you are giving people survival kits, you are giving people minimum to eat. On the other side, you are taking it away, you're kicking their thali with your feet by asking them to buy alcohol. So no man is going to spend money for home. Already they've lost job, there is less income, there is unemployment growing, economy has completely gone down. In this situation, if you want to open the alcohol, so I mean, I think people will have to think differently. Governments have to think differently. We have to create a new economic model. You cannot, exploit people. The poorest of the poor were in the line. Did you see any middle class standing in the line? Delhi had almost like police had to beat up people, and by 4 o'clock, every shop was closed by the order of district magistrate because people were not under control. Now, what do you think they will do at home? What kind of women and children are going to children are going to be beaten up by their father because you see, A, they don't have food to eat. B, they don't have any
Ranjana
employment
Kumari,
where
I
they can
believe
go.
such people any which ways don't deserve. I'm sorry I'm coming in, but because
No, I'm
the
sorry. I'm
conversation got
sorry. It is the
truncated
middle
due to
class.
technical
No,
issues
I'm
and
sorry.
an
It is the
interruption
middle
from
and
the
the
Prime Minister.
No, Tanvi, I think it is the middle class and the upper middle class which was able to access it and drink it anyway. They were drinking it anyway. But then now what you have done by opening this store, because you can see the line, you could clearly, you all have shown it to
I
the
agree
whole
with you.
nation.
No,
The
I agree with you.
desperation
There
in
is
the
obviously a
line.
social impact that
Poorest of
has
the
to be
poor were
factored
standing in
in.
the line.
Correct. There is
This
a
is
social impact that has to be factored in. I just want to come in here because I want a reaction from Gopal Agarwal on this. Mr. Gopal Agarwal, from the fact that the poorest of the poor who don't have a job right now, very less money, will now end up spending this money on alcohol, and it could lead to a rise in the cases of domestic abuse, to the fact that we already saw some law and order situation cases today. Is there merit to reconsidering the decision on opening up alcohol shops right now?
Actually, Tanvi, what is happening is that there are 2-3 issues that are getting mixed up. One thing is when the central government is saying guidelines are coming from the central government, it is about the maximum areas or maximum thing that can be opened up during the lockdown period within the considering the red zone, orange zone, and green zones. That is the maximum permissible activity that the central government describes. And then from that, the state government can decide what they want to implement in their lower area, their state, or in particular area. Ultimately, that implementation of whatever they select to the maximum permissible limit is on the state government. One thing. Second thing is that those who are talking about alcohol consumption and other thing, it's a very large issue. Then they must be talking about complete ban of alcohol at every point of time. It is not particularly related to only corona, that is a menace, and the moral policing of alcohol, etc., abuse through that is not only dependent on the corona crisis. It is not a current crisis issue. It has a larger debate that can be debated at a different level.
No.
There are diverse opinions. And the third thing is there was a state government strong pressure that large part of revenue from the state government comes from the excise of from this liquor. and they need resources badly because major portion for their revenue. Several reports you must be having access to that certain states are having revenue to the tune of 28,000 to 30,000 crores of revenue from this activity. So if they were continually allowing liquor sale and other things, licenses, etc., because they needed fund for social welfare. So these are the three issues, and that considering that the central government has not only alcohol, there are several activities that has been defined under the permissible guidelines, and the state government can take calls. And several today also, when the health minister, after that, seeing those some of the scenes,
but I think the state governments do have to do that.
The central government has again said.
Yes, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you, Mr. Gopal Agarwal. We had to also go across for that speech that the Prime Minister was making. So this conversation is a little truncated. I have to interrupt. I'm completely out of time. But my apologies to all of our guests, and thank you for joining us. We'll perhaps have this conversation in a few more days as data then shows what's the kind of impact we are seeing of reopening the alcohol shops across the country. Suffice to say that the states have to work with the wine merchants and shopkeepers to figure out a better way so that at least it's not a law and order problem at the shop itself where people are queuing in, completely forgetting about social distancing. And some amount of responsibility also has to come from the people's end. Like the Delhi Chief Minister said, if you're not going to follow the norms, we won't have an option but to shut down the stores, just like it was also done in Jaipur. But if there is a larger impact on the social fabric, on the fact that there may be a rise in domestic cases, and that is something the government will have to consider, and then the argument, oh, we need the revenues for the states and the center to function, is not going to work. Completely out of time. Thank you for joining us on this conversation.